Welcome to Wednesdays in the Hub and our second in a series of fraud and scams, talking about the retail world today. And so I want to welcome our presenters, Denis, Niland, and Brian Downing, who are investigators with the Division of Consumer Affairs. And I'm just going to hand the program right over to them.
Good afternoon or good evening in County and Passaic County. Today we're going to talk a little bit about protecting yourself in the retail world, also a little bit about what we do in consumer affairs and what services are available to you. This program is made possible by the Bergen County Executive, James Tedesco, and the Board of County Commissioners. Little shot of our group there. We have three different functions at Consumer Affairs: investigations after people call in with complaints. We do enforcement, and we do education and outreach, which we're doing today. In 2017, we entered into a agreement with Passaic County to cover their services, a shared service agreement for consumer affairs. All the people at our office are trained by the Attorney General's office and are certified, and all the investigators are retired law enforcement officers, and we're constantly doing education, and we're part of professional organizations related to our duty. We work with other agencies sometimes. Picture on the left is us out. We were checking out the safety of jitney buses. They're required to have certain information available. Plus, we worked with motor vehicle, make sure the buses are safe, make sure that people have bus driving licenses. This time we did, there were two people who didn't even have a bus driver license. The state police were there. And we've worked with other local departments like Paramus and Fairview. We also go out and do some enforcement for different things. Some of the stuff we're going to talk about today. If you are part of any other organizations, you're welcome to call us for programs. The programs are all free. And there's information on our website about those programs. We also participate with the state and have a competition between high schools. Approximately 70 high schools in New Jersey participate. They learn about consumer law during the year, and then it's like a game show atmosphere, and each high school sends 4 or 5 kids, a teacher. The teacher gets professional credits for working with the kids throughout the year. And it's really exciting and high tension, and a couple towns that have won in the last couple of years: Leonia, Bergenfield, Rutherford are just a couple of the towns that have won and have gone on to the regional and state competition. Our website is a great website, a great resource. Under links and contacts, there's a lot of phone numbers for agencies throughout the state, and also a lot of information, such as if you were doing home improvement and you wanted to find out about contracting. We're doing a program on contracting coming up, but you could look on there. There's a lot of information that will help you so you don't get burned by a scammer or someone that's not very good. Or you can look up their license, their professional license, see if they're registered with the state. So it's a great resource. Bergen, Passaic, ConsumerAffairs.com. Under Bergen County Consumer Affairs, we also have a social media page on Facebook. It's not a lot of fluff. There's information on scams and frauds, and also on products that are recalled. we urge you to like the page, sign up, and you'll get the information as it's put out. So if you may feel you get ripped off and you call the police and say you were ripped off by a store or some type of other problem, maybe with a contract or furniture store, the police are going to tell you, man, this is a civil problem. And they may refer you to our department. But the more help from the consumer, the better the case. So if there's any way you could take pictures, keep a log of what happens, that's very helpful. Get names, keep copies of documents and receipts, contracts, and if you're making some type of purchase, the best way to protect yourself is with a credit card. You're less protected if you pay cash or do any type of wire transfer. So what would happen is you call our office and we decide and talk it over with you. Our people are very good, they're very friendly. If your complaint doesn't belong here, it may belong to the state office or a different type of office. Usually they're able to give you that phone number and put you in the right direction. Sometimes some of these things are overwhelming, and we get complaints from 91 cents to $250,000. Sometimes it could be criminal, sometimes it's civil. We've worked on furniture cases. One of our investigators had a case in central Bergen County, and they worked with the local police department. We did the civil complaint part and they did the criminal. Ended up getting money back for the consumers. That's not always the case, but it worked out well. There's some cases that specifically the state does. If people have professional licenses, like the medical board, dentistry, architecture, things like that. But if you start to have a problem with any type of thing, even automotive is one of our big problems in our office. We have 2 people just dedicated to doing car cases. Could be lemon law, could be warranty, could be service. Call us and we'll see what we could do. Okay, protecting yourself in the retail world. These aren't all scams, but they're things to watch out for when you go out shopping. Anytime you shop, you got to know what's the conditions of the sale. If you're buying a gift for somebody, you got to know if it could be exchanged, if it's the wrong size. But they have the right at the store to say no refunds, no exchanges, store credit only. Whatever they want to do, you have to know about it before the sale. So every merchant's required to either have the refund policy at the point of sale, on each item, or at the front door. They have their choice. Most retail places have it on the right by the registers, the point of sale. Right, you want to talk about Apple? And
yeah, some of the stores now, like the Apple store, and a couple of them have mobile registers, so they can check you out at any point in the store. Those stores that have a non-centralized location for their register have to have it clearly posted somewhere, whether it's in the front of the store or the back of the store. It has to be clearly stated what their policies are as far as refunds. That is also acceptable for those places that don't have a specific register area.
there are some exemptions if a retail location gives refunds more than 20 days. They don't necessarily have to post it. there's not too many stores that fall into that category because there's always some kind of condition about returning something. Merchandise tags, also known as price tags, have to be on every item or on the shelf that the items are on top of. I just went out on 3 complaints yesterday on places that didn't have prices on items, and it's a violation. They got to have them. Brian, you could talk about that.
Yep, absolutely.
Case. Just don't give the name of the company.
What?
Don't give the name of the company.
Okay, no problem. So I had a case when I first got involved in the office. It was a woman who was at the mall, and one of the kiosks at the mall, you know, we've all walked through the mall and had those people, you know, oh, could you come over here? I'd like to give you a free sample or do something like that. So this woman was at the mall. They said, we'd like to give you a free facial, free sample of our face creams. Would you like it? And she was like, oh, you know, yeah, no problem. I'll do it. So they took her from the kiosk and they brought her into the where they actually have a storefront. And they said, we're going to give you this free sample. It's a $400, normally a $400 treatment. We're going to give it to you for free. So they did the treatment on her. They applied this diamond dust cream on her face and stuff. And she liked it. She thought it was nice. You know, she didn't think it was bad. They were very nice and very charismatic. And, you know, they tell how it'll help you, help your skin, make you look younger, all these things. So the woman was like, you know what, I'll buy it. So they basically said, well, we're having a sale, you know, we're having a good price. So this jar has 10 treatments in it. You know, we're giving it, you know, for the one treatment was for free, and you'll get 10. So you're getting a free treatment if you buy this. Never telling her how much it was. Just saying that it was $400 treatment, and that the jar had 10 treatments. Then later they said, well, the applicator that goes with it, you know, and all that stuff. Again, never stating to her, never giving her prices on anything that was there. Well, when they rang her up to register, the credit card came to $6,789, almost $7,000. And she was like, well, wait a minute, but, you know, and they said, well, this jar has 10 treatments in it. It's $400 a treatment. It's $4,000. The applicator is, you know, $1,800 plus, you know, tax on it. And the problem is they had at their register the sign that said all sales are final, only for exchange. So basically, they were telling that they duped her by saying, you know, they didn't give her the price. So that's why you have to know how much everything is before you purchase something. Because they kind of alluded to how much it was by saying there's 10 treatments in here, it's $400. I was eventually able to contact the owner of the company. We went back and forth. They actually refunded her all her money and took the product back. But again, the problem is these deceptive sales practices, you have to watch out for, because honestly, they pretty much followed everything except not having price tags on things. So you have to be very careful. You know, the buyer has to beware, but that's why we're here to help you. Go ahead, Dan.
Gift cards in the state of Jersey, regular gift cards that are purchased with money, or gift certificates are good for 2 years. They can't deduct any money for the 2 years, and then they could only deduct $2 per month. Also written on the notice in 10-point font, they gotta get, or the receipt has to be a telephone number to check the status of the card if you want to see if it's still valid, if balance on the card. Bank cards are exempt. Also, some other things that are exempt, if you go around to have a fundraiser, say for a school, and there's a donation and there's no cash paid for the card, or if the card is bought at a discount because it's a fundraiser, they don't fall under the 2-year rule. So use everything by the date it says. A lot of restaurants will give you a certificate that says 1 year. It's really supposed to be 2 years, so don't throw them out. And if you have a problem, call our office. Also, if you're going out to a party and you got to get something last minute, a lot of people go to like one of the major stores, CVS or ShopRite, and they have an aisle with a whole bunch of gift cards hanging. Make sure you buy one. I wouldn't buy it from the top of the pile. Make sure that usually they're sealed now or covered, so there's no access to the numbers on the back of the card. I had one case where they must have had a program where they would run the numbers until it was activated. And once it was activated, they got money off the cards. I got the person the money back. But all these cards, even though they're from different companies, one company deals with all the cards and distributes them to these stores. So I was able to work with one company. Never pay anybody by a gift card. That means it's a scam right off the bat. We do a lot of shopping online, and this is actually, except for her, it's a case I had. The website looks legit. It was called at the time techoffersmall.com, and the people, we got several complaints. People weren't getting their products, and a little research was done, and it came back to Bergen County, New Jersey, Oakland, and it happened to be a vacant home. And they were just using the address. They probably got it off like Zillow or something like that, where they were able to find a vacant address, and they set up a website, and they actually stole, because if you look at it, it's the colors of the Walmart site. They stole the, it's called scraping, where they stole the front of their website and then changed the products to make them look very attractive. And people would pay, and you know, they're waiting for their item to come, and it never comes. So always use reputable sites. Brian could tell you a little bit about checking the top of the address.
Yes, just always. So you know, if you get like an email, or you get like a web offer or something like that, you know, be very careful. Don't click on them. You know, don't go right to them, because again, these can also be portals onto sites that are not legitimate. So if you want, you can hover your arrow, your mouse or something right over it, and read the address. Read what it is. You know, something that says like Walmart.com, which, you know, Walmart.com. But if you have like Walmart, you know, asterisk dot something with other things attached to it, most likely they are leading you to a site that is not legitimate. Again, you can always, you know, recheck the websites by Googling or researching or looking them up, and just always verify that where the link that they're bringing you to is actually the site. Again, and if you're getting, you know, solicitations and emails from products or offers that you didn't sign up for, most likely that's a red flag that these are, you know, fake sites, and that they're just, you know, phishing and stuff. So just always be careful. You know, you can always go back and check and research, and, you know, do a couple of your own online inquiries before you actually, you know, commit to one of these.
Okay, we talked about this once before in our other segment, but something to watch out for. Always look for whether it's COVID or not. You see a very attractive price, make sure you check the shipping, how much the shipping is. Here, one item is $10.99, and the shipping is $369.98, and you're agreeing to that by hitting the add to the cart button. And see how long it takes to get the product too. Some of these companies don't have the product, and they'll order the product, and you'll wait a long time. Also watch for people claiming to either fake products, or they put fake endorsements like Shark Tank, or the Today Show, seen on the Today Show. These are all things to watch out for.
Yeah, a lot of these advertisements will take, misleading, misleading things like, like you said, Shark Tank, as seen on TV, all these things that are trying to tell you that, their product is the one that you've seen before. And then when it does arrive, it's either nowhere near close to what it's supposed to be. And again, a lot of these, distributors are overseas, and it's very difficult to get your money back.
Also with COVID, there's a lot of fake products out there. They claim that it helps, but there's no proof, unproven products. If you get anything that has a picture on it, and they have to tell you whether it's has to be assembled or not.
Yes. So, within the state of New Jersey, the rules on, selling furniture are very clear. On our website, we have a list of, all the regulations that need to be followed by the furniture company as far as contracts. Again, any furniture you're going to buy, there's going to be a bill of sale and a contract, especially purchasing anything, over $100. Just always make sure that within the contract that it states the date of delivery has to be on there. There has to be some sort of and again, we've seen now with COVID that there's a lot of back ordering on things. Some of these furniture stores have been putting, 6 months, they'll put like a long delivery, but it may come in sooner. But that's giving themselves a little bit of a cushion. But the thing is that once that delivery date has come and passed, that contract is null and void, and you should be able to get your money back. And again, those are things that we go after as far as that. There's also things that are in there. Could you go to the next slide? There's also things within the contract that they cannot have in there as far as, wordings like, non-refundable, all sales final, no cancellation and things like that. They can't have those in their contract. And if they do have them in their contract, you can challenge the contract and say that I'm not going to abide by it and I will not sign it. But you also have to remember that certain items in the stores that you buy, and if it is listed as is, within the law, the seller is telling you in beforehand that it's as is. So a lot of times, they don't fall under the same category. And again, there's clearly has to be, a delivery date. There has to be a description of the items, stating whether, again, like we said, assembly is required, or you have to pay them to do that. Again, those things have to be in there.
Also, make sure when it's delivered that it's check the furniture, flip the cushions.
Oh yeah.
If there's a rip or something, they may turn it over. If things are damaged, you have the right to not accept it. And make sure you just don't sign off, because some of the contracts say this has been delivered, it's in good condition. Yes,
and also you have the right to refuse the items if all the items are not being delivered at the same time. Because what'll happen is they'll say, oh well, the lamp's on the other truck, and then it never comes, and then later they say, well, you signed for everything. You agreed to the contract. So we suggest that if all the items are not there, don't sign for it. Tell them, listen, until everything's here, I'm not going to take everything. Because perfect example is, you buy a furniture set, one of the pieces is not there, they tell you it's going to be coming, then it never comes, then they tell you it's discontinued, and now you don't have something that'll match your set. And if you sign for it, it's really hard for us to go after, the company.
Dogs and cats are considered pets, and as far as Consumer Affairs is concerned, they're the only pets. There's certain things that have to be posted in the pet store. Know Your Rights statement, which is up in the right corner. New Jersey has no price regulations. If you purchase a pet out of state, New Jersey regulations don't apply. Every animal must have a cage card, which is what the cat is on top of, with a full description, things like breed, color, sex, microchip, the vet's name and address, and a refund policy must be posted in the store. What we suggest is get the animal checked right away at the vet to make sure it was healthy enough to be sold. And you only have 14 days to do that. If the animal was unfit to be sold, you have an election of options to remedy the situation. If you have to take the animal to the vet, you can't get more than twice the price of the cost of the animal in most of the cases. You could return the animal, get another animal, get reimbursed for the animal, plus the veterinary fees. So depending on the situation, if the animal's alive, there's certain options. That's my dog up in the right there. She came from the Bergen County Animal Shelter. This is the type of form that the vet would fill out. We can make that available to you with the state. If you already spent money on it and the dog dies, there's the possibility of getting fees back for the medical treatment, not to exceed twice the price of the animal. State of emergency, we had this with price gouging. They're not allowed to raise the price from what they were selling it before the emergency more than 10% higher during the emergency. Now, the state of emergency with COVID has been continued. Every 30 days, the governor signs another state of emergency clause, so it has continued. Between us and the state, we've investigated a lot of price gouging and dealt with it. But the mayor can't declare a state of emergency, or the county executive can't. It has to come from the governor. Predatory towing. This comes from a thing that happened in Fairlawn between IHOP and McDonald's. They'd have tow trucks. If you went into the opposite place, because it's almost like a shared lot, they would tow your car away and charge very high fees. So this law was created to protect people from that. So if they are going to tow cars, they have to have a sign 36 by 36 in the times when the parking is permitted, and posted that unauthorized vehicles will be towed. The cost of the tow, the cost of storage, the New Jersey Consumer Affairs telephone number are all part of this law. There's a few more things, like there has to be a written contract between the tower and the property owner, and somebody has to call for the tow. The tower just can't cruise the lots and take cars. So this is if you're shopping somewhere and you decide to go across the street or to another store, this could come into play, so use caution because it could be expensive. They look really big when they're in a little pizzeria lot, but they have them at the Garden State Plaza where you drive in, and they look small there, so it's all perspective. But they are 36 by 36. If you join a gym or a health club, couple things: they have to put the full obligation or cost of the contract on the front page. They're not allowed to commit you more than 3 years. 40% of the area of the facility has to have machinery to be considered a health club or a spa. we run into some health clubs now where they do exercise without machines and just some free weights and stuff. Brian, you want to do movers?
Yep, absolutely. So in the state of New Jersey, moving companies are regulated. So you can't just buy a truck and decide that Dennis and I are going to start a moving company without being regulated by the state. Within that, there are certain things within contracts within the state of New Jersey. There's a binding where all the descriptions and everything on there is priced whatever is written. Then there's a non-binding, and the price within that doesn't change within 10% of it. Again, a lot of times you have to make sure that you read everything on the contracts when you're going to move, because they'll quote you a certain amount, and then the binding, they'll show on there that there's other added fees, and then they can change it as they go. So whereas in, you know, you're obligated to what's done on the contract. So again, you always got to make sure that those things, that there's no added fees that you're not aware of within the contract. The other thing is that in the state of New Jersey, if you move within 24 hours, there's no sales tax. But if it goes over a 24-hour period, they're allowed to charge sales tax and storage fees and things like that. I had a little, a personal little anecdote about this. When my brother moved, the company quoted him, I forget exactly what it was. I want to say it was like $1,600 to move his house to the new house. And when they got there to unload it, they wanted another $900. And they said that, and my brother was like, we agreed on this contract. And it says, but the problem is that while they were packing things up, there are other things that they did that they asked him. And he said, yeah, no problem. Thank you so much. Like they wrapped the TV in a blanket, or they packaged things, or they disassembled stuff for him. And right there in the contract, it states, blanket, $35, disassemble a dresser, $100. Like, all these things are in there that he agreed upon when he signed that contract. And they basically said that if he didn't pay the money, they were holding the furniture hostage. If they didn't pay the money, they would take it, and they'd have to figure it out. And then it would go over the 24-hour period, and they would be able to charge him tax and storage fee. Luckily, I happened to be in the area, and I stopped by, and I spoke with them about it, and we went back and forth. And honestly, my brother ended up having to pay a little bit more money, again, because he signed the contract. But it wasn't $900. But again, you just have to beware of the way they do business. Because again, is it an unfair way they did the business? Yes. Were they following the letter of the law? Yeah, they did, because he signed that contract, and that contract stated that those were extra things at cost. So again, I always say the same thing. Make sure you read and understand everything that you're signing, especially when it comes to, buying a car or moving or doing something with a substantial amount of money.
One other thing with contracts before I get on to travel, and we're almost ready to wrap it up, but with some of these solar contracts, they're like 28 pages long. And if you sign off on it, you sign off your rights to go to court. You can only go to arbitration. You have to maintain the panels that are on the roof, but you're not allowed to have anybody remove anything. The company has to be called back to work on it if you have to put another roof. Also, it could void the roof warranty besides. So you have to read the contract very carefully. There's a whole bunch of stuff in there. And I had another contract problem. The lady signed off on it. It auto-renews every 6 years. Make sure you know the length of the contract. This was for alarms. On travel, read everything. Find out everything before you sign off or purchase. Will you get a refund if you cancel? What if the cruise line or airline cancels? What happens? Is there any penalties? Will you get the points back? How long are the points good for? What if you test positive for COVID before going on a trip? What's your options? What if you need medical treatment? Are you covered? Can they take you anywhere they want? Cruise lines, if there's a hurricane, usually they'll go somewhere else. And it won't be the ports that you were looking to go to. Instead of the Bahamas, you may end up in Canada. What happens if you miss the ship or the plane? You're probably responsible. And then, will you have to quarantine when you arrive at a destination? There was one girl from the United States went to one of those islands, and they told her she had a quarantine, and she didn't. And she ended up serving time in jail. So you want to make sure the local laws, besides the airlines or the cruises that you go on. Things to watch out for: a lot of vacations you go away. If it's Marriott, Hilton, or Disney, they'll put you on high pressure sales. Thing for timeshare: don't be pressured into making uninformed decisions. I always copy all my documents on a hard copy, as well as have them in the phone. Because if someone steals your phone or your phone breaks, all that information's in the phone. So I always carry a hard copy. Sometimes charter flights are cheaper, but if there's a connecting flight involved and the charter is late, you're going to be responsible for the other flight. Same thing if your luggage is missing. Who's responsible? Is it the airport or is it the charter versus going on a public airline? So read everything before you travel. Okay, we'll open it up to questions. Hope everybody picked up at least something today.
Thank you, Dennis. Yes, in addition to retail store, I didn't expect so much other valuable information about contracts, like with movers and with the travel information, because there are some points there that were very, very valuable. I did have one question. It's going back to the use of the word phishing, both last week and this week. Can you just clarify what that entails so that we're clear on what happens with phishing?
If you get like a phishing email example would be if somebody sent out an email saying you had to either verify information, and they'll use a popular company like Chase Bank. If out of 1,000 people, you know, a couple hundred have accounts at maybe at Chase, and they say your account is, and they, if you click on this link and we'll verify your information, or they may say your information, somebody got your information and we want to secure your bank account, and they'll pretend they're the bank. If you ever question it or have any type of feeling that maybe something is wrong, whether it's a bank, whether it's Apple, pick up the phone, call the number on the back of your credit card, look up the number. Don't use the number that they gave you. Don't click on the link, because the link could have a virus too. So we all get curious at times, but I mean, sometimes it happens with technology, where they say that you have a problem with your computer, we want to verify your account. But many times it's the scammer that's doing that.
So really they're fishing for information that they should already have if they really are authentic. And so the point is that we shouldn't be divulging anything. We shouldn't be giving anything.
Correct.
Okay. So I know I had a question in between sessions about that, what exactly phishing was. Okay. Anybody else have questions? If not, I guess you guys did. Anne, did you have a question?
Yes. Hi, I'm trying to
Hi.
get my camera here. Hi, my name is Ann Cooper. I work at the First Congregational Church in River Edge.
Okay.
And
Welcome.
our church members are elderly, and we get these phishing emails to our members of the church saying, it's Pastor Denis, I need you to go get gift cards at the local CVS, I'm in trouble. And so many of them have fallen for it. Is there a way to report these email addresses? How do we get to those people?
You could report them to your local police. You could report it to the FTC, but they're more of keeping numbers and allocating like federal dollars towards, agencies that do enforcement. But they help us by keeping the stats and knowing what's trending. But that could be a local thing unless you have to call, and give the gift card information on the phone, which is a definite scam. Other things you could do is like we could come give a presentation on Zoom, or when things get better, come out to your church and talk, Saturday morning or Sunday morning, whenever they have a group meeting, maybe.
After worship.
Yeah, the more that we get the word out, the more people get aware,
Right.
And also you might want to look at your email system too, and if it's specifically coming from members of your congregation within there, you might want to look at some sort of way to make sure that it's an active email that is coming from you. Maybe change something within the email, whether it's his name will be his full name, or his name with a middle initial or something along those lines, that will make it so they know that email is actually his, not just a blanketed Pastor Phillips or whatever, whoever it is, that it'll actually say his name, and you can let your congregation know if it says this, that, his full name, blah, blah, then those are real,
all they have to do is get into one email and they see who's linked on the emails, if it's
right.
a general message sent out,
and steal.
You have to be careful, like if you're selling or buying a house too, because there's the real estate person, the attorney, and the two homeowners, and if someone gets into one of those emails, they could see how the transaction's happening, and then sometimes they'll send an email saying, oh, congratulations, the closing Saturday, you have to wire the money to this account, and everything will be all right. Congratulations on your new home. And then they go to the closing, I sent the money, like you said, and they have the attorney's name and everything, because it's in the whole list of emails, and I sent the money. We didn't get the money. And then they find out that, someone scammed them. So same thing, this is on a lower level, but if they're able to get into the emails, then
it's just
like
always good to verify.
Brian said, if you have a code or something, and know that it's legit,
So I guess also your distribution list, if it's a CC, if you're copying everybody and all the email addresses are there, that's a lot more vulnerable.
Right. So it's always good to blind CC. If you're going to send out
I do.
Yeah, it's
I
always
send
the
it to
blind
myself and blind copy the whole distribution list.
Right. So no one can see any of the other ones.
Right.
Okay. So, Anne, also these are going to be recorded and on YouTube, so you can put this out you can give the YouTube link, email it to your congregation, and they can see this presentation, which might be very helpful for them.
Great. Thank you. I will do that.
All right. Any other questions? If not, then we're going to close this session. Thank you very much, Brian and Dennis, and also to Terry and Columbus, our board members who have put together this program. And we look forward to March 31st and protecting yourself when planning home improvements.